right, so we're about a minute past the hour. We're going to start with introductions and just laying out the agenda of what we're going to cover. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm sure folks will be trickling in, but thank you all very much for joining us today. We're excited to take you through a webinar that's going to be focused on bringing VividCharts reports into the various ServiceNow workspaces that you are all getting familiar with, rolling out, transitioning to, and this capability is a part of our 2.2.0 release, which is about to be with ServiceNow in the certification process. So this is going to be out and available very soon. I'm just going to flip to the next slide here, and we'll just, at a high level, just talk through what we're going to cover in the webinar. We'll start with just giving some introductions for Gary and myself, for those of you that might not be familiar with us. We'll then just in the slides set the stage for the various types of VividCharts reports and what you'll expect to see in today's demo and with this capability going forward, and the different options that you'll have for embedding them into your ServiceNow workspaces. So I'll be taking that portion and then we'll turn it over to Gary, who's going to be providing the demo. And we'll start that by just showing a quick overview of ServiceNow's UI Builder, which is the workspace editing experience. Gary will then take us through a few demo examples of real VividCharts reports embedded into a few different ServiceNow workspaces. And then Gary will go under the hood and actually show you from a configuration standpoint how to work with this new component that's going to be coming out in the next release. So that's what we're going to step through today. Just real quick introductions for myself and Gary. I'm Rob Walsh, one of the co-founders here at VividCharts. I focus on our sales and account management efforts here at VividCharts, so mostly focused on working with our current customers. So very excited to bring this capability and start to work with you all as we start to bring some of these reports into your ServiceNow workspaces. Have on the webinar Gary Deach with us here today. So Gary, if you want to just say hello and give a quick intro and background, we'll start to get.
Hey everyone, I'm the Chief Product Officer at VividCharts. I've met many of you probably over the time, just getting feedback on the product. I've been with VividCharts since 2021, which is important as we talk about this application, and we'll talk about the move into the next experience and what that means for workspaces too.
Awesome. Thank you, Gary. So let's just start by setting the stage and giving you a bit of a framing for how we think about the product development process and how we think about the capability that you're going to get introduced to today. So at VividCharts, when we think about any reporting workflow, we think about it through the lens of these 3Ds. We've got data, design, and the ultimate delivery of a report to whoever that end audience is. And most of you on the webinar are pretty familiar with VividCharts from a data perspective, all kinds of capabilities from just the out-of-the-box chart library, process area specific charts, scripted charts if you need to do a data collection that is a little bit more unique. All of that stuff fits in the first D of data. The second two is where we're going to focus on today. And from a design perspective, VividCharts historically, as an editor, has been very free form, very flexible, but historically has been very much optimized for a slide deck form factor. So in the editor, you've always been able to change the dimension to make a slide slightly bigger. But in the viewer, it was very much optimized for a slide deck experience that also heavily weighs the export to PDF, PowerPoint, and other areas. That's the history, but with this new component, we are going to open up more of a dashboard form factor that I think you all will be pretty excited about. So you'll see that in the demo today. And where this capability really sits more than anything is in the delivery bucket. So historically, we've provided the delivery mechanism of just the VividCharts viewer in your browser directly, providing related links on your ServiceNow records to get to that viewer experience, automated email notifications, the ability to export to PDF, PowerPoint, or PNG, and then in our latest release, the ability to actually send those hard files as an attachment directly from the VividCharts viewer UI. The workspace embedding opens up another opportunity to make reports available for your end users where their other work is already happening. So we're trying to take clicks out of the process and just take the VividCharts reports that they're already utilizing and put them where other work is already happening to make it a much better experience for them. So that provides the framing. If we just flip then to talk a little bit about the different types of reports that you can create in VividCharts, and these have always been there, but this will help frame it for the workspace perspective. Slide decks have always been very purpose-built for presentations, and these can include the ability to filter and slice and dice a full deck. That will remain available in the slide deck form factor in this workspace. These are generally designed to export to PowerPoint, so you'll see the PowerPoint slide deck experience is very much still present in the slide deck form factor in the workspace as well. Scaled reports are also going to be compatible with this new component. So if you are familiar, a scaled report is more of a record-based report where you have a single blueprint that gets produced at scale for many hundreds, if not in some cases, thousands of records. And these can be built against any ServiceNow record type. These reports are going to be compatible with the new component as well. So if you think about in the project workspace, or if you're on a problem or a major incident record in the SOW workspace, you'll be able to have all of the mapping taken care of where the summary report that's generated from a VividChart scale report can live right there in that same experience going forward. And then the last report type, again, has always been available, but has been a bit more limited, is the dashboard. What Gary will show you today is a much more optimized experience for a scenario where you don't really care about it being in a slide deck format. We'll show you today if you make a dashboard that is very long, the new component will allow you to render that and consume the full real estate of the page and give you a scroll action like the other dashboarding tools that you're probably familiar with. That helps set the stage for what you're going to see in the demo today. Gary, anything you feel like I missed or you want to comment on before we turn it over to you for the demo portion?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think sets the stage for unveiling these new ways to deliver these reports.
Excellent. Let me stop my screen share and let you take over there.
Okay, just give me a thumbs up when we're good to go.
Looks good.
Okay. So like Rob said, I'm gonna first just dip into a real brief review or like overview of the UI builder. The UI builder is ServiceNow's interface builder that allows all these workspaces have been built on it. And VividCharts was built on it. Like I said, when I joined in VividCharts in 2021, the next experience had been out for a little bit, but it was becoming a more noticeable thing in the product. And then all these workspaces were being built. And so we made the decision pretty early on at the end of 2021 to rebuild VividCharts in the next experience. And that meant we were using UI Builder to deliver that application. So I'm going to go into UI Builder. And when we're here, there's so much to cover. I just wanted to give a high overview of experiences. And you'll see right here, we have Project Workspace, SOW, we have Strategic Planning Workspace. Those are examples that I'm going to go through today. But what I do want to show and share some of the things we've heard from customers is I'm going to click on the Experiences tab here. So just as we scroll through here, we can see we get 106 different experiences. And I think if we go down all the way here, keep going. You can see that VividCharts is actually one of those experiences in your instance. Now, the reason why I think this is important to call out is because your ability to consume VividCharts reports has always been VividCharts viewer first, like Rob said, our delivery mechanism. You can do other things. You can email, you can have related links. There's ways to deliver stuff, but a lot of times to finally consume it, you're in the VividCharts viewer, which is in the VividCharts experience. One thing we've heard from customers is that they like all the features, they like the interactions and the UI with VividCharts, but they already have people working in these other workspaces. So when you have 106 workspaces or experiences that are out there, VividCharts becomes one of the 106. And so The problem or the thing that we wanted to address is customers saying, hey, my users are already in Project Workspace. My users are already in the strategic planning workspace or the SOW or CSM. They're already in those places. Can we get our nice VividCharts reports into those experiences? And so that's what we're doing today. We're sharing how to go through and experience those nice reports inside of those. I'm going to pull up, let me go home. I'll do one just like real quick, brief look at what this kind of looks like. So when you go into a workspace, you're creating pages, you're creating potentially variants of those pages, you're doing all the configuration of these workspaces through this interface here. And I don't want to go through the details of it. If you've had experience with it, you probably understand what you're looking at. What I will do here in a second is I will go through how to configure a page that includes the VividCharts report on that page. It's super easy. I want to start with the headline. It's going to be remarkably simple. I'm excited about sharing simple things. But before we go into those details, let's go look and see, like, how does this actually look and feel in practice? So I'm going to go, I'll open a new tab here. And I think the best way to do this is, let's do this, look at a report that's in VividCharts and in the VividCharts experience, and then we'll pull up the same report that's been implemented in the workspace. So I'm going to go into, now I have a little bit of an assumption that many of you have seen a VividCharts report, but for those who haven't, what you're looking at right here is a scaled report. Rob mentioned what a scaled report is. It's a blueprint you have of a report, and you apply that across a set of records. In this case, it's a project record that we're applying it to, and I actually have it filtered down for just Paul Martin as the project manager. So all these scaled reports are just Paul Martin's projects that he's the project manager of, and they're active. So that's the scaled report. I think that's important because these are the reports that have been generated, and I'm going to show you a new feature in the workspace component that solves a problem that exists here. So let's go look at what this looks like. And so if I go here, let's filter down, because we'll look at this here. We'll look at just projects that have a start date in 2026. Here's the report. I can look at that. And then in the viewer, this is what that scaled report looks like. Again, all this is configurable through the editor, and you get all the building of VividCharts reports that you are used to. But let's go and look at this inside of Project Workspace. So when I go into Project Workspace, I have all my projects here. I have this filtered down into, again, projects that started in 2026. You can see we have one with Paul Martin, and then I added another here for me as the project manager. Now your project manager is going to come in and they're going to select their report or their project. And this is specifically a status report that we were looking at right here. So these weekly, bi-weekly, whatever your cadence is. And so inside of the workspace, your project manager is going to probably go to the status report, and they're going to pull up and they're going to see the status reports that they have built, and then the history of those status reports. Now, what we've added here is the ability to get to that and see that VividCharts status report right from this interface. So imagine a project manager comes in, they make their edits to the status report, they create a new status report, they save it, but they need the nice VividCharts template applied to that status report. They can access that right here from this status report page. They click on that, and now I have that same slide deck look and feel that I had over in VividCharts. It's just right inside of that Project Workspace experience. A couple other things that are really nice to have here is you can open this in the VividCharts viewer if there's some features there that you want to utilize still. But also if I just updated, let's say I came here and I said, oh, my executive summary actually doesn't have a couple points I need to make. I can go back to my status report. I can make an edit to that. I could save it. I could go back into my VividCharts version of that and refresh the data. That will pull in the most recent changes to that status report. So now I have the nice VividCharts looking slide deck with the most recent updates right there inside of the workspace, never having to jump over to the VividCharts experience to get that feel and that experience. So again, if you have project managers, if they're working in the project workspace already, you don't have to now teach them how to navigate to VividCharts experience or provide special links to that report. They just have it right inside of that workspace. So that's one example. This is a scaled report example. I want to go, and I'm going to call out a couple of things. Again, we have this header up here, so gives us some buttons to interact with that report, and it has the slide deck look and feel. All these things are configurable, and you'll see as we go through some other examples. Okay, let's close out a project workspace. And Rob, I'll let you handle if there's questions coming up. Feel free to stop me, and we can answer questions as they come, if they do come up. Okay, let's go into, so one thing that we work with a lot of customers on is road mapping of their portfolio reviews. And so there are many ways that we do this, but we have in this case, I did it, so sometimes we'll do it as a scaled report, sometimes we'll do it as a filterable slide deck. Just depends on how a customer wants to set up. In this case, I set this up. So we have a roadmap, a strategic roadmap built for each portfolio in our system. I'm going to go ahead and open this in VividCharts. Again, it's a totally different report, but it's the scaled report. So this is a strategic Gantt that's been filtered down to this strategic planning Gantt demo portfolio. In this case, we have programs, projects, all the configurable things that we can do inside of building a VividCharts report. Again, you are inside of the VividCharts experience here. So what does this look like inside of SPW, or Strategic Planning Workspace? I'm going to go pull up that workspace. And I got two demonstrations of this. So if you're not familiar with the Strategic Planning Workspace, we'll go out here. We got our menu on the side here. So we've done this implementation where we add connections through the record itself, but here's where we do portfolio planning. And so many times we have people wanting to have their roadmaps visualized inside of when they're doing their portfolio planning. I'm going to go ahead, and I have, just for demonstration purposes, I have added a couple versions of this so that you can get a look and feel of different ways that this is possible. And then when we're going into the top one, we'll click it, and it takes us again to that very nice VividCharts look and feel. We have it set up the same way, where the same buttons and experience here inside of this workspace is built. If I go back, and again, just like the project, this project status that we showed, this portfolio again, very similar to the scaled report we saw in the VividCharts experience. This is filtered down to the portfolio, and then the report is built off of that information. To show you how flexible this is, let's go look at a different experience. So I have this created plan. I'm going to go just into, it's the exact same report, but we just wanted to set it up inside of the UI builder differently, because we didn't want, this is what Rob was talking about, having a little bit more, less of a slide deck feel, and a little bit, we wanted more real estate. I would think this would be where, if you're going to be looking at the roadmap live inside of your instance, you're going to pull it up on a big dashboard and walk through this together in a live meeting. This would be probably the view where you can get rid of some of the extra space around the side. We got rid of the buttons at the top because we want to focus on the visual itself and be looking at the information here. But in this case, we still have this overflow menu that still, if we needed to, we could refresh the data or open it in VividCharts. So again, one thing that I hope you take away from kind of these demonstrations is that when you take the power of the VividCharts reports if you've been using VividCharts, you understand the value and the power that you get out of that. But you combine that with the ability to set this up in your workspaces and use UI Builder to give that experience that you're looking for. The combination of the two becomes limitless in the experiences we can help you create. Okay, we're going to go look at two options or two examples inside of the SOW workspace. I'm going to open the first one. Now we'll look at, this is a pretty common use case that we see, which is a problem review use case. So when you're trying to do an analysis of problems and understand the core of the problem, being able to generate reports that provide all the information into a nice slide deck that you can review in a meeting is something that we see customers do quite often. And so we built a scaled report here again that takes each problem and generates that report for each problem. Again, this is the look and feel inside of a scaled report inside of the VividCharts experience. If we go into SOW, again, the SOW there's a lot there. So if you haven't used the experience all that much, I am just in the records list here. And inside of the records list, I've chosen problem as the one that I want to look at. And so if we go to the problem record, you can see we have all the information of the problem. We get the details because this is what the experience gives us. But for a meeting to review with our stakeholders to understand and dissect, we also now have this button up here that says VividCharts. So we can open up that. And again, we get this custom built report that we built in VividCharts displayed right here inside of the SOW. You can see it's just another tab in the experience. So I can flip back and forth inside of the experience to get to that information quickly, but I get that nice VividCharts custom report that we've spent time building. Again, this is a scaled report, and we have it set up in this case as a slide deck look and feel with the same fixed bar at the top. I'm going to show you one more example in SOW, and this is where I think Rob hinted at this, but we offered this in the past, but the experience in the VividCharts experience was maybe not ideal because the VividCharts experience shows this in slide deck form in the viewer a little bit too much. And now we have the ability to offer it in a different way. And this is like a more dashboard experience. So this is what we have here, and this is the editor. I'm going to go back out into the viewer. So we'll view this report in the viewer, and you can see it's a dashboard. It's more square, but it has all this extra space, and we could zoom in if we wanted to. We can make it full screen, which is one of the nice things that the viewer does. But what would this look like inside of a true dashboard look and feel experience inside the workspace? And that's one of the things that we accomplished with this. So I'm going to open up that workspace. Actually, let me just go. I'm just going to go to the instance itself, to the home. And I'm going to navigate to the home SOW, or the home page of the SOW. And in this case, what I did is just to show you, you could place these in many places. A lot of the challenge is just understanding how the experience is built itself. But in this case, on the left-hand menu, we wanted to put this report as a top-level capability. So I'm going to go into the menu on the left-hand side, and you could say we have our list, which is where we saw the problem that we were on. You can see we have teams, all the things that SOW provides, but we have a new VividCharts option here. When we click on that, you can see we have a full kind of dashboard feel. It really feels like you got this dashboard that you can scroll through top to bottom and get that experience that you're expecting. I'm biased. I think that you can have a very pretty, and we give you tons of design capabilities here. So you have a ton of flexibility for what this dashboard looks like. And if you've used VividCharts to build reports, just imagine anything you built in the VividCharts editor being able to be displayed in this way on your workspace. And just to kind of show you how simple this is. So one of the questions may be, how complicated is it to make an edit to this once it's set up? And the answer is you just have to edit it in VividCharts. And so let me go back and just show you. If we go to that report, so this is the VividCharts editor. I'm just going to make a real simple change here. For webinar, we'll just change the text here, leave it simple. I'm going to save that. I'm going to publish that. And again, if you've built inside of VividCharts, how easy it is to drag and drop and style things. But let's go back out to that operations workspace. And I've made that update. If I just refresh, I've now updated my SOW workspace report charts. And you don't have any intimidating need to go into the UI builder to do any of the edits for these things. It's all still done inside of the VividCharts editor, making it real simple for a lot of builders to accomplish that once these pages are set up. So one thing I want to call out is, and Rob mentioned this in the preview, and we haven't shown it yet. I have this overflow menu, but with the dashboard, many times you want filters to be able to change the data that's feeding that dashboard. And that's all capable here. So this is, in VividCharts, this is a filterable dashboard report. And so I've built a filter. If I now have the filters button, if I do that, I get the pop-up. I have an assignment group filter added this. Again, you can build those filters as you see fit. I'll just run that filter, and you can see now my dashboard has been filtered down to that data. So just because you've moved the report into the workspace, you don't lose the capability of having the data filtered on that report, which is nice. We'll go ahead and clear that, and we'll run it again. You can see that we reset the report to include all the data in the workspace.
And Gary, one question we did get that is pretty related to that was, will it be possible to export or email reports from the workspace view?
From the workspace view, so one thing I'll say is, like, there are some features available that still work best in the VividCharts view. Export is one of those. So that is a pretty important reason why we have the open in VividCharts button here that you can hide or keep prominent. You also don't have to, there is a setting, and I'll show this, but there is a setting where you don't have to allow any of these buttons to be available. But for export, opening in VividCharts and then exporting from the viewer is what we would recommend right now, because there's a lot that goes into making PowerPoint and PDF files come out looking really nice. And we've spent a lot of time making that possible inside of the viewer or from the viewer. So that's one reason why we've chosen to do that so far. So that's export. I'm sorry, Rob, can you share the other half of that question?
Yeah, the first part was export, and then the second was to email reports from the workspace view.
Yeah, the email. I would say that it's the same situation as the export. The experience of email is still best inside of the VividCharts experience for now. Were there any other questions that people have brought up?
There was one more, and it was, can the same buttons shown on the SPW be added to the project workspace menu instead
Okay.
of within the status reports menu?
Oh, the answer to that is yes. Yeah, so the same buttons inside of the SPW. So like these buttons here, can those be added to the project workspace instead of, oh yeah. So if we go here to project workspace, I think they're asking instead of being, let's see, let's open up this one. Can we add that button here instead of inside a status report?
I think
Absolutely.
that's, yeah, the spirit of the question, or even other, we've put it on the details page, things like that.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely. Again, yeah, to Rob's point, we've put it, I have it where it is now just because that was probably the last example that I shared with the customer. We've put it on this page as another tab in this. It can go inside of the More tab here, can go in this menu. For a scaled report, it makes sense that it's tied to up here we have the record. So that's important context, and you'll see that in a second. But what I would say is the UI builder is very flexible. So by default, I usually say it is possible until we're proven somehow that it's not. And I think the second half to that is UI builder is flexible, but we VividCharts have built the capability living in that flexibility. I'll show you that here in a second when I show how to set up a component.
And just for Brad, if that didn't fully answer your question, just chat in or put another question in, make sure we get that full answer for you.
Okay. So hopefully the shows you just, there's 4 different implementations. There's 3 different workspaces that we touched. And I think each of those demonstrations show the various ways that a component can be set up. But let's actually go look at the component. We'll do, since this is open, we'll just do project workspace. And let's actually pull up the workspace in a tab so that we can see it here also. We'll go to all projects. We'll walk back through the steps here, go to the status report, and we'll go here. Okay. I want to show you how easy this is. And maybe this is I hope this is the magic trick, in my opinion. But let's say you showed stakeholders, this is the implementation of status reports inside of the workspace. They're like, yeah, we know that we like the slide deck. For this experience, we actually don't want the slide deck look and feel. And we would like to get rid of the top bar because we want the focus to be on the content, not necessarily on the style of it. So how can we make this adjustment? Or how easy is it to make the adjustment? We go into our UI builder. In this case, we have this built on a separate page. It's called, the VividChart status report. There's other ways to implement this as a variant, but this is the way I set this one up. I'm going to go into the editor here. And when you're inside of the editor, this screen, Rob, remind me of this screen. I have a feature that I didn't demonstrate in Project Workspace that I will go back and share.
Yeah, got it.
We have it set up here, and we have over here on the left-hand side, you can see it's like the hierarchy of the page that was built. Now we have a button here that takes us back to the status report, and then we have the VividCharts component. That's literally all that's on the page right now. And I want to show you just how simple setting up this component is. When you add a component, and so how can we do that? Let's just go ahead and underneath this component, let's add the other version that we're saying we might like to see. So I'm going to go ahead and add after that. And when we say add, it gives us either layouts or components. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, we'll see that there's a list of VividCharts components here. We have a few, but the VividCharts embedded report component is what you want to add. So I'm going to add that. And now I have this other component. You can see it says VividCharts embedded report 2. If I click on it, over here on the right-hand side is the information that the component needs to know in order to make this component work. Now, I will say there's a couple things. If it's a scaled report, it needs to know the table, and it needs to know the ID, and then it needs to know the report ID of the scaled report. But that is only true if it's a scaled report. If it's just a report, you don't need either of these pieces filled in, and I can go back and show the SOW example if we need to show what that looks like. All it needs is the report ID in order for this. And then you literally have drop downs in order to choose the experience and output that you want. So in this case, we're going to go get the information we need, and we want the project table. And we want the sys-ID of the project record. Got the ID here, add that. And then for the report ID, what this is the scaled report ID. So I'm going to go back out to my VividCharts scaled report here. And if I look up here in the URL, we can see we have a scaled report ID, and then I'm just going to grab that ID at the end. Going to copy that. Going to go into the builder and paste that there. Now I get to choose the form factor. Again, I can make it a dashboard or slide deck. We said, let's try slide deck. The header appearance. This is the nav bar at the top that shows the buttons if I want. I can make sure that it never shows up. I can have it hidden or have it fixed. For this case, let's just keep it none. And then I can change my primary and secondary colors, which impact that header colors and buttons. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And then there's one other thing that you need to do. And the component needs a little bit of space or sizing. So if I go into styles, there's things that you can do here that you can play around if you want, but we just need to give it some type of height in order for it to show. And just by default, I've been using 800 pixels. It just is what kind of works pretty well. In the dashboard, I use 2000 pixels, I think. And now let's go back out. If we look at this, we can now see we have multiple versions of that component. And just to make sure we don't confuse ourselves, let's go ahead and delete this one. And then I'll save again. And click on this. We got it set up. So I'm going to go, let's click preview and see if a preview pops up. Sometimes UI Builder in the preview screen takes a second where it doesn't actually pull the data and you have to go to preview. Let's open the URL. Okay, so here's this generate report. I'll show you that feature here in a second. This is pulling, yeah, let's actually go back out to the one that I displayed first. We'll go to Project Workspace one more time. And we'll just start from the beginning. So I'm in all projects. I go to Paul, again, we put this inside of the status report. So I'm going to click status report. I don't know. Like, I think that's pretty cool. Like, we literally changed our project workspace reporting experience in a matter of 2 minutes, and probably quicker just because I was trying to explain to you. So I think that's pretty cool and exciting. Now, I do want to go. Any questions, Rob, coming in on that? You're muted if there are some.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so we did get one, Gary. Can you have multiple reports in a workspace? For example, we have IT and HR in the SPM module, but they use different reports. So the IT team has their version of a project status report. HR has a slightly different version of that status report.
Yep. You absolutely can. And again, it's UI Builders is very flexible. So I'll just share, I don't have the example here, but I will share one example we've set up. You can change these components and set conditions around the components and variants of pages. So there's different ways to do it, but you can make it so like different roles see different versions of the template. You can see different roles might have different components completely. So there's a lot of ways to accomplish what they're asking there, and we definitely can do it.
Awesome.
Any other questions on that?
None other on that.
Okay. Let me go show you the thing that I did not share here just a second ago. Remember when I shared the VividCharts version of the skilled report or project status? I had a skilled report that generated reports just for Paul Martin projects. So historically, what that means is if Paul gets a new project, we would have to regenerate the skilled report so that new project would get pulled in. Or in this case, I have a project. I wasn't included in that scaled report, but my organization wants me to have that same template if I am going to do status reporting. But they haven't been generated yet. So I'm going to go into this one. And this is my project. I'll go to the status report. And in this case, I have a status report that I created a few days ago. I pull it up, but there's no VividCharts status report here. One thing that you can do in the workspace that is not possible in the VividCharts experience is I can generate a temporary report so that I can actually use that template to generate my report. So I click the generate report, and then a couple seconds later, I don't have to go bug my admin or the report builder or whoever is in control of generating those reports. I actually just have my on-demand project status report generated for me right there, which is, I think, a pretty cool new feature that we added to the workspace here. I know we have a few more minutes. I'll stop for questions one more time. If there are no more questions, I think the next thing I'll do is I'll just go quickly show what the dashboard setup looks like in SOW just to show those configurations.
Yeah, I think let's go for that, Gary. No new questions have been put in.
Okay. So I'm going to go back into UI Builder. I'm going to go back all the way out to the beginning. And if we go to the SOW Workspace Builder here, we'll pull that open. And we have, in this case, we have a VividCharts SOW dashboard built. And oops, we'll edit the scope of that. And just to show you, like, here's the report. You've seen this already in the workspace, but the setup is much simpler. Again, because it's just a single report, I just needed the ID, the sys ID of that report. I didn't have to worry about table. I didn't have to worry about ID, but I chose the form factor. And then in styles, again, I use 2000 as a height, but that's a variable you can play with. You can, if you have much more content to put on there, you can make it bigger. It's very flexible, but this is what allows this really nice dashboard look and feel in the workspace to be configurable. Again, adding UI builder capabilities to this VividCharts component really provides so much flexibility in how these things are built. So Rob, I think I've been through all the examples. I think customers might be wondering, or if people are new to VividCharts, they may have a lot of questions about VividCharts itself. I'm open to taking those questions about VividCharts, but maybe for people who are used to VividCharts, maybe they're wondering like, okay, this is coming out as soon as we get it certified. What do they do next?
Yeah, so let me flip back over to the slides here and we'll talk a little bit about that. And as I'm pulling that up, one question that hasn't been asked but might come up later on. Is there any new type of licensing or anything like that you need to have accounted in to be able to use this? The answer to that is no. This is just coming as a part of the VividCharts product release. So once that publishes out, there's no new or additional licensing that you need to take advantage of this. If you are interested in starting to plan for that, this should be coming out in the next couple of weeks here. Definitely reach out to me to start coordinating. One thing we are offering for our RAS, so our reporting as a service customers, your first workspace embedding setup is going to be free, and you could just say, hey, here's where we want our report, here's the report we want, go do it for us. Or you might want to have one of your or a few of your resources ride along. So you get the first setup done, but you also get some people trained up in the process. That is available for those that are on the reporting as a service plan. If you're not on RAS and you're interested, you can reach out to me. We can talk about the current promos that we have available. And if you're just interested, even if you're not a RAS customer, in taking advantage of this workspace embedding piece, reach out to me. We can do the same motion where we just work with you to figure out, okay, which reports do you want embedded and where do you want them? And again, you could just have us do it, or you could do a ride along situation where if you or some of your team members want to get trained up in this new capability, we can help you with that as well. So hopefully that answers the questions as far as what happens next. We'll definitely leave the Q&A open for any other questions that you all might have. And yep, if there aren't any more, we definitely appreciate you all joining today and spend some time with us. We're very excited to release this out, so we'll definitely keep everyone posted on this. We did get a question, more of a statement. Thanks, Rob. RAS continues to be a great value. That's awesome. Yes, excellent. We agree. Awesome. Yeah, we will keep the Q&A open for just a couple more minutes if there aren't any more. Oh, will this recording be posted somewhere to watch again? The answer to that is yes. We'll send it out to all registrants for the webinar automatically, but then it'll get posted to our YouTube page. So that'll happen regardless. Yep, we'll send that out and it'll be available on YouTube.